Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of the Claflin Athletics Show. We have two Claflin students here that are Rise ambassadors. One thing about them I already know is that they may be the first two we ever had that were here early before it was time. So that gives them a little bonus for me. Would y'all please introduce yourselves to the audience?
Go ahead.
My name is Zhaire Mack. I'm a sophomore at Claflin University. I'm a middle-level education major with a psychology minor.
My name is Jemal Scarborough. I'm a sophomore applied mathematics major from Columbia, South Carolina.
Welcome to the show. First thing, tell me about the Rise ambassadors. Tell me about the group you represent.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Rise and Athleta is a really great program for student athletes to help motivate them and getting better help with their mental, their ability to, understand life outside of their, sport, outside of just being an athlete. And also make sure that everything like for their personal health and their personal growth is, influenced as well, like managing money, make sure that they're like registered to vote, make sure that like if anything they need, including like a mentor, like that's everything that Athleta and Rise gives.
And to add on to that, especially with the mentors, all of the mentors are also former student athletes, just like we are. So that relatability that you get from the mentor you work with, it's not just a regular therapist, it's not just a regular person that you meet every day that's a guidance counselor or something like that. No, they're actual former student athletes who went through the same thing, whether it's morning weights to midterms and everything that we're going through currently as student athletes, they went through the same thing. So that relatability also helps with just the overall wellness of the organization as a whole.
Wow, that's a great concept. Now, I need you to clarify, both of you are currently student athletes or you were former student athletes?
Current student athletes.
Okay, so are you ambassadors yourself to other students?
We are more like ambassadors in the reality of like our abilities to like be able to spread awareness, like letting student athletes know that there's nothing wrong with asking somebody for help. And that was my problem. That's where Rise came and helped me. I was one of the first females on my team to actually gain a mentor, and I got a lot from it because I was injured last year, and I just so happened to get a mentor who was actually the head over Rise, Miss J, and I've been talking to her for this will go on 2 years now. So
okay, Jemal.
It's more or less, like you said, just helping the rest of the athletes on campus to also understand that there's, like you said earlier, value in getting help. I know I had a mentor last year when I started the program coming in as a freshman. And I really took into a lot of accounts different things that he taught us, whether it's about money or internships or doing LinkedIn or even a resume, anything like that. Just being able to talk to somebody outside of the normal people you see day to day, your coaches and teammates who can also help you and direct you on the path that you need was just very important. And that's what we're trying to spread awareness to the rest of the athletes, not only here at Claflin University, but other universities as well.
Okay, so where do the mentors come from?
Arise is a program which is really short around, like we said, athletes. So they created an app based off of like ways to like get athletes to like come on there and be like, okay, I want to be here. I want to see somebody who's going to be able to motivate me. And with that app, they give a list and description of certain mentors that they have. And there's like thousands and thousands of mentors. You fill out a survey and you give them basically a gist of what your personality is and what you would like to see out of a person that could help you. And then from that survey, they'll give you a couple options and you can choose who your mentor is. And your first session would start off as like an introductory, just to see if you have a good feel with that person. And then after you get through your first session and you choose that mentor, they send you a link where it gives you like step by step, like these are things we want you to look at before you start talking to us, like leadership, goals for your academic, goals for your sports, ways to better help us manage time and sort out the difference between like, main goals and, short-term goals. So they just basically give us step-by-step stuff, like anything we need to know about business related, how to, build up your own business, how to professionally dress, like all of that is given to us from this app. So we get a mentor, we get step-by-steps, and we also get motivational videos. So the app is basically, it's like an Instagram, but it's just motivated athletes.
Yeah, especially with career goals, that's a major one. And they also have they also have seminars and different things like that on Zoom. Every once a month, they have guest speakers and different things like that. So, like you said, it's kind of like another social media app, but it's centered around helping athletes, minority athletes specifically, to better themselves in life outside of on the court and on the field.
Wow, this is outstanding information that you're telling everybody about. So the Rise ambassadors are not just limited to Claflin. It sounds like it's a national organization.
Yes, it is. Me and Jemal are lucky enough to say that we would be able to go out and help other minority student athletes, because they give us the opportunity to be able to speak to student athletes over Zoom, or like go on little road trips, just touring out on campuses, just spreading awareness to let athletes know, like, hey, Arise is here for you guys, and this is what we do, and we know you need this, so talk to us right quick. That's pretty much it.
And Arise is still a very new and up and coming organization. Claflin is lucky enough to be one of, if not the first, the first school to join this organization, and we are the beneficiaries of that, and we will continue to spread awareness. But as of now, I know such schools such as Clark Atlanta, UMES, and different schools, different HBCUs around the country so far have been catching on to the bandwagon. But Claflin is, like you said, is the first. And we will continue to strive and continue to do our duties in that way.
Okay, well, Tim, have you been able to, do you do most of your communication on your app? Do you I understand you said you have, I think you said some Zoom meetings and different films you could see. Tell us a little bit more, because this is really interesting. I'm just trying to get as much information as I can for our listening audience and viewing audience.
For me and Jemal, the main times I think the first time we actually used the app to help other student athletes other than ourselves was during our first session. So we went through and we made sure that the students, like when they came in, they scanned the barcode and they downloaded the app and put in all their information. And then us as ambassadors, we were able to see like the student athletes on our campus, like making sure to see like, okay, they logged in, but they didn't actually go in and fill out this information. So that's a way we can communicate with them. But outside of that, we just, personally one-on-one talk to our mentors and, our leaders on the Arise team.
Yeah, there's a lot of the Arise organization is about personability and being specific to the individual. So once you get your mentor, I know my mentor, I'm pretty sure hers is the same. We have their individual phone numbers. And we can text them and call them pretty much anytime. They're always available, just like a bigger sibling or another parent or aunt, whatever you want to think about it. But it's a lot about personability and being able to talk to that person whenever you need them.
Well, tell me, how was it first brought to your attention? I mean, just some type of way you had to be contacted or you knew about it. Tell us more about the chicken and the egg.
I know Arise as a whole, when we came in last year as freshmen, we had an activation ceremony, kind of like we did this year. And just like she was saying earlier about seeing the athletes logging in, we had to do the same thing. We had to download the app and go through the different workshops and then logged in. And after that, it was kind of up to the individual whether you continued down that path or not. We were just two of the individuals who decided to actually follow through with the Athleta and continue to use what it was. And now we're ambassadors. So
now it's pretty much like the same thing.
Well, go ahead, please go. You said it was the same thing. Go ahead.
I mean, my journey was pretty much the same. I mean, I am just one a type of person who's very like headstrong when it comes to supporting mental health. And I'm a dual sport athlete, so I'm like, I need help. So I just kept pushing forward, and they just gave me the opportunity, and I was like, absolutely. So
yeah, she does it all. She does it all.
And what sports you play, Miss Dual Sport Athlete?
I am a part of the women's basketball team, track and field, and cross country.
Yeah, that pretty much takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Year round. You'll never
Year
stop.
round.
Remind me.
Was the mental health part one of the key components for you?
Absolutely, like 100%. Growing up, there was not really much talk about like the importance of like getting to know yourself and understanding like you come before anything you do. And I didn't start learning that until I got here. Like I had to figure out like what's best for me is doing this or doing that. But I knew I needed some sort of guidance or like some person that could be that guideline for me. And it just so happened to be Miss J. So.
Yeah, mental health was it was one of the things I looked at also, but for me it was more like how I said earlier, just being able to talk to somebody who you don't see on a day-to-day basis, but they also understand you.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times in our world today, we're all looking to relate to somebody, or we're trying to relate to people in a certain way, but it's like we don't always want to go to the same people. Like your friends that you hang around day to day, you don't always want to talk about them to your closest issues. So to have somebody who understands you and your current lifestyle and to be able to talk to them about basically whatever, whether it's internships down the line, career things, mental health, physical health, just anything is one of the things that attracted me to Athlete the most.
With a mental health component, both of you so willing to discuss it is really big in sports and athletics now. And just being able to have someone that you can talk to help you through the various things that you're going just really says a lot about both of you. That you're in a position to kind of seek somebody to talk to help you, to give you some advice. And I've heard you say some other things just in terms of career choices and your majors and some of that. Tell us how that has helped you academically.
I would say Arise, like based off an academic standpoint, it made me, like I said before, more consistent. Like my form of procrastination isn't necessarily the definition of procrastination. Like when it comes down to like my workload, like if I get too much piled on, I'll like forget like the main things and I'll just like not do it. And my mentor, she was like, you have to like get a schedule. And one thing about me, I never liked a planner. I never liked writing stuff down like I did. Jesus. I didn't want to like have to, see all of the stuff I actually have to do written out. And she made it like very important. Like she always instilled it into me, like at the end of all of our conversations, she was like, make sure you write your schedule down. Make sure you write your schedule down. So it's just like the accountability part that really was it for me.
Yeah, accountability and time management is definitely big ones for academic side. Because I know for me, my biggest thing is, I don't like to write stuff down either, but I've kind of gotten used to using the calendar a little bit. Not the greatest at using it, but I'm starting to get better at it. But I know the biggest thing for me is, seeing a bunch of assignments and kind of not psyching myself out, but kind of getting worried about how much assignments I got to do, how long this paper has to be, how many words I got to be, and all this other different things like that. So Arise and talk to my mentor kind of allowed me to step back and kind of realize and understand that, look, you got this, you know what you're doing. You just got to sit down and do it and kind of be able to relax and not stress too much about the academic side, because that's what we do a lot, especially as athletes, because we already got practices and games and all that other stuff. So the academic side can become very stressful, but things like this and talking to our mentor to be able to relax helped me the most for the academic side.
Okay. Are these things that you wish you knew earlier in your career, like in high school or so? Or yeah, I see already you both nodding your head. Tell us what that would have done for you to have had these type of services available to you younger?
I mean, in high school, the type of player and the type of person I was, I like went through school with like no care in the world. Like I never studied, I never like actually did my homework. Like I never had that like motivational push, not just for accountability, but just a person to be there, like to let me know, like, hey, you can do this. Like no matter how hard it gets, or like no matter how many times you get injured, no matter how long practice is, you can do whatever you put your mind to. And if I had that, I would have 100% been a better student and a better athlete if Faraz was there.
Yeah, I would definitely say the same because, like me in high school, I mean, grades academically wise, I was always very, very good on that side, but it was still times where I'm staying up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning where I probably shouldn't be, and that's simply because I'm stressing over an assignment that shouldn't really be stressing me out like that. But I don't have, I mean, I have my parents to talk to, but it just seems like that relatability, like I was talking about earlier, is kind of missing. So it's like they get that I have practice, but they don't actually understand what it feels like to have a 3 or 4 hour practice and they come home and have 3, 4 assignments due 11:59 or the next day. And I know definitely as an athlete who's also been injured many times, the mental side of it has gotten to me plenty of times, especially back in high school. So if having that leader back then definitely would have helped my mental and physical side definitely to kind of relax and be able to get through everything I needed to get through.
Great answers. Both of you made comments about being injured. And I don't think that non-athletic people understand what injured student athletes go through just in
FOMO,
terms of going
FOMO.
through. Right. Explain it a little bit to them.
I'll start. Well, for me, I'm currently dealing with a little shoulder problem at the moment. But last year, specifically my freshman year, I suffered a concussion and I was out for basically the whole second half of the season.
Mm,
And up until that point, coming into the season, I wasn't really expecting much in terms of playing time and stuff. Then we had some coaching changes and things like that, and I actually ended up being a starter. So I'm just working my way into the starting lineup, started playing a little good, and then bam, I'm out for basically the rest. That basically took me out the whole second half of the season. And going into your freshman year, not really knowing what to expect, and then kind of ending up being a starter or getting playing time, and then having to miss basically a whole half of the season because for something that's not really out of your control is not really something that non-athletes ever have to deal with or ever have to experience. Because it's just like you're just going to work, going home, you going to class, going back to your room. So that fear, like you said, FOMO, fear of missing out, not only on the field but also in class, because it's like I got a concussion. I'm not supposed to be going to class. I was still going, but it's like my mental in my head is not where it needs to be. And even with the shoulder, it's just like, okay, certain things I need to move differently. I got to leave earlier. I got to do this, do that. Your whole life, as much as physical is not really taken into account as non-athletes, when you are an athlete, your physical is almost your entire life. And whenever something happens to your physical, it takes a big chunk out of your life and it changes how you move and different things. And then once you start doing rehab and different things like that, you got to go to the trainer every day. So you got to cut out more time in your schedule that you already have set out for other things to now go get trainer and go get better and different things like that.
For me, my story is a lot different from his because I was in one sport at the beginning, and then I had to use one sport as a rehabilitation period. So when I first came in my freshman year, I was already signed on to both track and basketball. So I didn't really know which sport I was going to initially start with. So I started with basketball, and the coaches, I had two different coaches, so I had two schedules at the same time, and it took a lot out of me to try to figure out like, hey, which sport am I going to do today, or which practice I'm going to do today. And it kind of tore my body apart. So I had injured my quad and my hamstring, which caused my old lady knee to like spaz out on me on a consistent basis. So I couldn't run as fast as I wanted to, and I couldn't run for a long period of time. So I was out for 6 months, and then after that 6-month period, track and field had started, and the practices started were getting better. So my coach was just like, "You redshirt you this year, and then just use track track and field as that boost of energy. And after that, I came back in this year. I've never been so strong in my life, and my mental is way better thanks to Athleta, because I kept using my mentor over the summer and, during the school year to make sure like I wasn't keep getting down on myself. So
I think both of you gave real good answers. I just think it's so difficult for non-athletic people to understand just how much you playing in a sport means to you. That actually becomes your identity and who you are. Each of you, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. Can each one of you kind of explain a little bit about what it means to you to be a student athlete?
I want to answer this one because I like this question.
Go ahead.
To me, being a student athlete is to be a student and to put your person in perspective. And what I mean by that is no matter how many games you have, no matter how many practices you have, you always have to remember that you're a student before you're an athlete. Like before you think about, hey, I got to go to practice, you got to think about, I need to do my classwork. You got to make sure that you put in your personality into everything you do, because being an athlete will cause you to make your personality like a part of your sport. Like you'll be the same person you are on the court as you are, in real life. And that's just one thing I can't do because I'm a really bubbly person. So one of my professors, he always told me, make sure you keep your personality in perspective and just keep that pushing forward. So to be a student athlete is to be a person to me.
That's a good answer.
Didn't she answer that well?
Yeah, she answered that real well. It's hard to follow after that one. But I think for me, being a student athlete is more about just being more versatile as an individual. Like we were stating earlier, just about the injuries, non-athletes will probably never have to deal with anything like that in their entire lives unless it's a work-related injury. And even then, those happen a dime and a dozen. That doesn't happen too often. But with us, it's just like you get to learn different things about a sport. And sometimes in terms of mentally, it actually helps because, school gets stressful, different things like that. And I know I personally use my sport, baseball, to kind of get away from the everyday life of school and things going on in the news and different things going on in the community and all the other negative things or just other things that go on in your life. Being a student athlete kind of gives you that break to where you can do something that you enjoy, but also not have to stress about it. And I think Athleta does a really good job of making sure that your sport that becomes your safe space doesn't become something that also stresses you out. And I think as a student athlete, it just means more versatility. Whenever we do, we all have to hang up the cleats and the sneakers someday. So whenever we do hang those up, we're more versatile because we know how to work with teams. We know how to collaborate with people. We know how to listen and follow instructions. Whether we don't like it, we may not want to do sprints or burpees or lift weights, but we gonna do it anyway. So it's a lot of discipline that you get from it too. So I think really being a student athlete just builds on your personality and your characteristics for later on in your life that you could carry with you forever.
We got superpowers.
Oh my
God. Hey, that was just being taken now. Oh, he's not.
That was so corny.
Oh my God.
That was so corny.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see this? Hey, this is exactly what it is. We're really big on the fact that a lot of things that you do are used for the people that are younger than you. I actually called my grandson in because I wanted him to hear some of the things that you were saying, because he's having a little difficulty. He's a little athlete, but he's having a little difficulty in terms of understanding how important it is to get his schoolwork. And I wanted him to hear from you some of the things that you were saying. And what would you tell some of the younger students? And this was just 6th grade, but what would you tell them about the significance of what they're doing? Because you too were student athletes like that.
I'll start with this because back home I'm actually a coach, a baseball coach for ages 12 and under. So that's right around my age group. But I stress to all of my players, you know, school and academics will get you farther than any sport ever will. Because like I just said, one day you got to hang up the cleats, you got to hang up the sneakers, you got to put the balls down. And what are you outside of that? And this is the major key. And like me personally, my personal story, getting here to Claflin, I don't have an athletic scholarship. I'm here on full academic scholarship based off of what I did in the classroom. And opportunities like that will arise if you take care of business in the classroom. But if you play around in the classroom and think your sport is going to carry you through not only school and the rest of your life, then unfortunately your life may not go the way that you want it to go. There's plenty of athletes who made it to either the pros or big time college, um, who are not in the most successful places right now in their life simply because they didn't take school seriously. They didn't learn the little things like doing a resume or going to an interview, or they didn't learn the little things about just being disciplined and being there on time and different things like that. That is important to not only just your sport but just all around life. So I would say to you, young man, that keep going, keep pushing, but also make sure that you understand that your school will carry you farther than any sport ever will. And your sport is an add-on to your school and an add-on to your personality. It doesn't make you, it doesn't do everything for you, and it doesn't how do I say this? It doesn't define who you are and doesn't define who you can become. Anything you do, sorry, getting religious. Anything you do, God has a plan for you, and your sport can be something that increases your goals and helps you get somewhere farther in life. But God has a plan for all of us that doesn't necessarily include your sport. So being able to accept that, yes, I'm playing this sport now, and yes, this sport can take me places, but this sport does not make me, and this sport is not the only place in this world and the only career choice in this world that I can go.
Like that. As a future educator, I go to a lot of schools and I've done a lot of field experience and I've seen a lot of kids, and knowing that, like, you know, I do a lot, and they will always ask me like, hey, like, how'd you get through school? Like, I don't like school. Like, how do I just play my sport? And I'm like, instead of asking how do you just play your sport, just use this and not this. That's what I tell all of my students. Because if you use your mind before you use your mouth, you will know exactly what you will get from something. So instead of, you know, being complacent and saying like, okay, I don't want to do this work, so I'm just gonna go to practice. Your head's already telling you your schoolwork is more important than practice, because without the schoolwork, you can't play, no matter what grade you in. And that's the main focus. Like, you can't overplay, you know, academics, because everything you need, you have to intake. Everything you learn, you have to digest. So just use this and not this, and you'll go real far.
Thank you. That's great advice. Was there something you wanted to ask Jeremiah?
No, Papa.
Okay. Um, I really do appreciate what you've said and what you've done. It means a lot to the students. You've done a real good job in terms of explaining and talking to someone that is hopefully an athlete, a student athlete, but you've told him some things that he's heard already, especially about keeping that quiet. He instantly responded to that. But I appreciate the words that you said, and that for anybody listening, make sure you know that your student athletes get a chance to hear what these two student athletes are experiencing and the program that they're in as Arise ambassadors that's reaching out to student athletes everywhere. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come and be a part of this. And you both represented Claflin University extremely well.
Thank you,
Sir.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
We look forward to seeing you in the near future in your professional career and your athletic career.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right.